So we have, like, Erin's role is enterprise risk management, also CRA officer. So her role is one that is kind of broad reaching, but has a little regulatory influence. We have a compliance officer.
Compliance officer who's also our internal auditor. We have lending compliance. We have 2 internal auditors on staff that solely do all of our branch audits and any of the department audits that they can. We also have a BSA team, which is Bank Secrecy Act. And so we have quite a few people on that team. We have about, I think it's 3 now. We have a training department that we also have 2 people in that department. And then I think we have 1 other person that helps out in the training and just kind of does all different areas in the compliance realm. So
Quality control team that deals with anything on the home lending side. So that's all generally dealing with regulatory matters related to home loans.
There's 5 people on that staff.
And then we have the board of directors, which has an audit committee that spends time on that every single time through. Part of my job is focused on, I would say, on the executive team, there's a good chunk of our time that's just spent making sure we're at least doing our part to be in compliance with whatever the regulation is. So if you know, from the lending channel, making sure we don't have too much exposure to any one type of lending channel, or Don and I sitting down to the home lending person talking about, well, does this product actually meet all the terms and definitions of the regulation? It's the specific resources are easy to get. It's where you get, kind of the portion of time associated with the day-to-day that's very difficult. And so that's what we tried to do last time when we talked on the phone. It's, well, I can give you the people, but the people, their time is focused on it, more clearly, more black and white, I guess. But the amount of time this organization spends on regulation, just in terms of the corporate structure, I'd say, it's anywhere from 10 to 15, 20% of your time is going to be regulatory focused.
And it has increased quite a bit. We didn't even talk about we have 1 person that does our SOX reporting. And so SOX, we have to do a lot of internal controls and validate and testing, and all of that is, we need to do it internally here, and then our outside auditors will come in, and then they will either agree with the testing that we have performed, or they'll take it to the next level and they'll do further testing based on what they receive from the samples and the results. So a lot of our departments are having to put a lot more time in documenting everything. It's not just, you can say you did this, certain project or task. It's who signed off on it, who reviewed it, who did the double review, and so there's a lot of time that's spent into producing that and showing that we actually had multiple people review.
I don't want to give the impression that we, by passing of the regulation, it basically said, oh, now it's a free-for-all, right? It's what it ended up doing, though, is it takes away some of the unknown risks that, kind of the, what we'll say, black and white regulation that exists. It was gray before. It was, if a loan goes bad, you have a potential risk if it's found that you couldn't prove that the borrower had the ability to repay, or that the borrower could afford the home. There are financial consequences attached to that loan. What it does now is it says, all right, well, those consequences aren't, basically now we know that there's a lower risk that they could potentially apply to us in a worst case scenario. I'm not aware of anyone that's actually been, kind of hit on the back end side of that, or what the expense has been associated with non-QM mortgages. But there is a big fear, the way Dodd-Frank is written, that you could have, it's like 100% of the interest or something like that has been accrued over all that time frame. You have to pay back. And then the borrower can't lose money on their home or something along those lines. Like, it's a really, it's very pro-consumer regulation that's written, but it's written to essentially try to protect consumers from having, large corporations put together securitizations that could go after, with a product that essentially doesn't really care about the consumer, just wants the product so it can, securitize and make a bigger pool. So that one already in place, and we feel that is going to, again, it's not going to change our action, but it does give us a little more clarity on what the potential risk would be if we did those types of loans, which was helpful. The financial reporting piece, yeah, there's less call report requirements. We haven't changed anything. My leaning, coming from a regulatory background, is always, it's easier to do the full reporting and to pull back over time versus to instantly pull back, and then if something changes, or if you go through an exam or some other aspect of the way that it was written changes, well, then you're gonna have to put all these processes back in place. So we haven't changed anything today in terms of the financial reporting associated with it, but we do anticipate we will. Given maybe an exam cycle or something along those lines, we do expect that we probably are gonna, conform to the lighter call report requirements that are, I think, 2 quarters a year now. And the last piece is
The exam cycle.
yeah, that one we love. That was an instant benefit, and it's it's not a zero cost having an exam. And so I think the last exam we had here was 3 weeks on site, and it's a lot of resources that you take from kind of your day-to-day people that we all have day-to-day jobs, and you take those people away from that activity, which is very customer focused for our organization, and you move it towards making sure that the regulators are getting responses to their questions. This is going to get a little bit, and hopefully Joe will walk you around to the ceiling of the organization, but the organization's base fundamental is culture, right? And so we believe in our employees, and by believing in our employees, that leads to better customer experience. So we really have had a focus on hiring the right employees. Hiring of right employees has led us to some different lending channels that allowed us to grow at, say, relatively good pace over the last couple of years. That's our secret sauce. It's just really focusing on people and making sure that we're supporting our employees. And if an employee has an idea of someone that maybe is being underserved, or a community or a segment of the population that we really could provide a lending channel to really help, typically we'll listen. But that starts strangely way back here at the initial hiring process. We were saying, is this the right person to hire? Because if you hire the right person, that kind of takes away that, can I trust this person to deliver the right lending products? And we had a meeting today where a lending product came up. Never heard of it before, but it's good. It's a product for minority or women-owned businesses. And I've been a regulator, been in banking since 2000, and I heard of this program, but I've never actually seen a loan that actually fit in that exact criteria. But the lender that brought it is someone that I know is actually very passionate about certain lending types, and I'm very passionate about going out and providing products to the communities we serve. And so, yeah, we're gonna, hopefully we end up doing it, but we're in the process of kind of getting to make sure that we can go through with this state treasurer to get that product in place. But if it was at a different organization that didn't have that same focus on culture, I would just assume that the lender bringing it forward was just trying to sneak something past the goal. And that's what we focus a lot of time to not do.